Welcome back to another unrequited love story. This story is about unrequited love for self and not a man. This is the story of how I spent 20 years in a marriage that was never really a marriage, a story of deception, denial, and the long road of healing. But more than that, this is a story of unrequited love, not for him, but for myself. We met in 1998, got engaged in 1999. Like many couples, we were in love, or so I thought. We were part of a church, and before we got married, we had a meeting with our pastor. He told us that if we were having sex, we needed to stop until we were officially husband and wife. Now listen, we were already living together. We had a house. We were committed. So I thought this was ridiculous. But my fiance, he jumped at the idea. He was way too eager to agree. That should have been my first sign, but I ignored it because I thought love meant sacrifice. I thought love meant being patient. What I didn't realize was that I was already putting my needs second. I was already abandoning myself. 13 months later, I waited, and finally, it was our wedding night. I had been dreaming of this moment, thinking that after all this time, he was going to ravage me, that we were going to connect in a way we never had before. After all, we were now husband and wife. Instead, I lay there in my wedding dress, waiting for him to make a move. And where was he? Sitting in a chair, watching TV. On our wedding night, I finally said, "It's been a long day. If you don't come to bed, I'm going to fall asleep." And it was like pulling teeth to get him to touch me. That's how our marriage started, and that's how it always was. And that's when I learned my first painful lesson about self-love. If I have to beg someone to want me, I don't really love myself. For 20 years, my husband never touched me, never kissed me passionately, never showed me any desire. I would try. Oh, what I tried. I'd dress up, I'd flirt, I'd throw myself at him, and every single time, he'd reject me. He never once initiated intimacy. I wasn't even allowed to touch him. If I playfully grabbed him, he'd pull my hand away like I had burned him. And when I asked him, "Why don't you want me?" he'd always say the same thing. "I don't know why I am like this." Imagine being married to someone who tells you, "I love you, you're beautiful," but refuses to touch you. Imagine looking at yourself in the mirror every day thinking, "No wonder he doesn't want me." And that's when I realized I didn't want me either. I was giving all my love to a man who didn't love me. But the real betrayal was that I wasn't loving myself enough to walk away. I reached my breaking point. I told him, "Figure it out. Get help. I can't do this anymore." And for the first time, he had nowhere to run. No more excuses. That's when he finally admitted, "I'm addicted to something that rhymes with corn." I was stunned. This man who had no sexual desire for me was watching it multiple times a day, and he let me believe for 20 years that something was wrong with me. And that's not even the worst part. He wasn't even sorry. For 2 decades, I had been pouring love into someone who couldn't receive it. And every time he rejected me, I should have been asking myself, why am I staying? Why am I giving so much to someone who gives me nothing? Because love, real love, shouldn't feel like starvation. When I walked out in March of 2019, he spiraled. He hit the bottle hard. He lost his job of 14 years. And then I found out about $70,000 in credit card debt. I never had a credit card, never used one. But because we were married, the law said it was our debt. I had to pay half. I fought for spousal support, but since he had lost his job, there was no money to be had. I even asked for $1 a year so I could revisit it later, and he fought me on that too. That's when I finally learned what real self-love was. It wasn't just leaving. It was fighting for myself. It was standing up and saying, I deserve better. I lost 20 years of my life to a man who gave me nothing. Not emotionally, not physically, not financially, and he walked away without remorse. But this story isn't about him anymore. It's about me, about learning to love myself again after years of rejection, about realizing I was never the problem. For 20 years, I gave love away like it was a gift that needed to be earned. But the love I was missing most was my own. And if you're watching this and you've ever been made to feel unwanted, unseen, undesired, I want you to hear me. You are enough. You deserve passion. You deserve love. You deserve to be chosen every single day. And if someone can't give you that, give it to yourself first, then walk away.